In this lesson, we're going to see how to find range, variance, and standard deviation for both grouped and ungrouped data. And we're also going to do a lot of different type of examples. So let's get started. But before we go to the examples, the formula for the variance is the sum of x minus x made the whole to the power of 2 over n, and also the sum of the frequency of x minus x made the whole to the power of 2 over n. So these two formulas are for ungrouped data, and we also get another formula for the grouped one, and it will be the sum of the frequency of x minus x made the whole to the power of 2 over the sum of the frequency. So this will be for the grouped one. And the formula for the standard deviation will be the square root of variance. As you guys can see, this is the easy formula. Just all you have to do is just square the variance. And for range, we got two formulas. And for ungrouped one, it will be the highest value minus the lowest value. And for the grouped one, it will be the highest class boundary minus the low class boundary. So this is all of the formulas that you need in order to get the range, variance, and standard deviation. But actually, guys, don't get confused when you see this all type of formulas. So when we apply these formulas, it will be very easy for you. And don't try to focus to trying to memorize the formulas. Just trying to focus on the process and how to do the equations. If you know the process, you don't even need the formula. So now we're gonna move into the examples and questions. Okay, so the first example says I got 1, 2, 3, and 6. So we're gonna find range, standard deviation, and variance. So the range is the easy one. It's just the difference between the highest value minus the lowest value. So it will be 6 minus 1, which is 5. And then to get the variance in standard deviation, I need the mean. So the mean is the sum of the value minus the over the number of value. So the sum is actually to get the mean, it means 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 6 the whole over the number of value means I got 4 numbers, so it means 4. And then this will be 12 over 4, which is 3. So my mean is 3. So once you get the mean, it is so easy to get the variance and also the standard deviation. So for this one, I'm going to use the first example, its first formula. So this formula says that it will be the x value, which means this one, this is my x value. So 1 minus the x mean, so x mean means 3. And then the whole, the power of 2, in the same process. So I'm going to give my x value, which is 2. And then I'm going to take this 2 and subtract the mean, the x mean, and square it. In the same process, it will be 3, which is the x value, as you guys can see, and then subtract the x mean, which is 3, and the whole, the power of 2. And lastly, it will be 6 minus 3, the whole, the power of 2. So this whole thing will be divided by 4. So this whole thing will be divided by 4. And then when you just subtract and square this whole thing, you're going to get 14. And 14 over 4. So 14 over 4 is actually 3.5. So 3.5 will be your variance. So the variance is 3.5. And then the standard deviation will be the square root of variance, which is the square root of 3.5. So this is all you have to do when you come to this specific example. And this is actually ungrouped data, so you gotta know that. So now we're gonna do some other type of examples and a little bit different and critical one. So let's do it. Okay, so when you come to the second example, this is in a table and this is also ungrouped. So we're gonna use the ungrouped formula, but we get the frequency over here. So there's a frequency in our example because this is in the table and we also got a frequency data. That's the reason. Okay, so I'm gonna find the range first. So the range is hash value, which is 7 minus 3. So the difference between the hash value and the loss values, which is 7 minus 3, is 4. Now I'm gonna get my mean. So the mean is actually, the mean will be different than the previous one. So to get the mean, all you have to do is just multiply the x value with the frequency. So what I mean by that is just you're gonna have to multiply this 3 by 2, 4 by 1, 5 by 3, and then after that you're gonna have to divide this whole thing by the sum of the frequency, which is 10. So it will be 3 times by 2 plus 4 times by 1 plus 5 times by 3 plus 6 times by 3, and then plus 7 times by 1, and this whole thing will be divided by 10. So when you just multiply and add this whole thing, you're gonna get 50. So this will be 50 over 10. So 50 over 10 is actually 5. So the mean is 5. So my mean will be 5. So once I get my mean, it will be easy for me to get the variance. So this is actually just a little bit difference to get the variance too. So because I get the frequency. So the thing is, just take the frequency, which is 2, and then do the previous process, which is take the x value 3 minus the mean 5 and square it. And again, take the frequency, which is 1, and then take the x value 4. This is the x value, and subtract 5 and square it. Again, 3 is my frequency. So I'm going to take 3, and then I get the 5 minus 5 square it. And again, same process. It will be 3 and 6 minus 5 square. Again, I get 1 and 7 minus 5 the whole to the power of 2. And resulting will be divided by the sum of the frequency, which is 10. So when you just do the whole thing, when you just subtract and multiply this whole thing, you're gonna get 16 over 10. So 16 over 10 is 1.6. So the variance will be 1.6, and the standard deviation will be the square root of variance, which is the square root of 1.6. So this is all you have to do when you counter this ungrouped data. So now let's do a grouped one. Let's do some type of examples with the grouped one. Okay, so when you counter this one, this is a grouped data, and how do you know if it is grouped or not? Is as you guys can see, this data is just different because it's different than the previous one. And we also got a class mark. So if you got a class mark, it means that it is a grouped data. And sometimes they might not give you the class mark. So to get the class mark, all you have to do is just add these values, these two values. So 0 plus 4, and then divide by 2. So 0 plus 4 is 4. 4 divided by 2, I get 2. So 5 plus 9 is actually 14. So 14 divided by 2, I get 7. So I think you guys get the process. So this is how you get the class mark. So 10 plus 14 is 24. 24 divided by 2 is 12. So that's how you get the class mark. And then, so now let's get the range, standard deviation, and variance. So to get the range, what a boundary means actually the highest class boundary. So the boundary means you're gonna have to add 0.5 to the highest value and also subtract 0.5 to the lowest value. So what I mean by that is just I'm gonna add 0.5 in to the highest value is 19, so it would be 19.5. And then subtract, I'm gonna subtract 0.5 from 0. It means it is the lowest value. So it would be when you subtract 0.5, it would be minus 0.5. So it would be minus 0.5. So when you add 19.5 and 0.5, it will be what? It will be 20. So 20 is my range. So let me just write the range is 20. Now let me get the mean and the whole thing. So let me get the mean, standard deviation, and also the variance. So to get the mean, to get the variance and standard deviation, I need a mean. So to get the mean, it's actually the same as the previous one. So I'm gonna multiply 4 by 2, 8 by 7, 12, 2 by 12, and then I'm gonna divide this whole thing by the sum of the frequency. So it will be 4 times by 2 plus 8 times by 7 plus 12 times by 12. 2 times by 12, and then plus 1 times by 17. This whole thing will be divided by the sum of the frequency, which is 15. Okay, so now when I just multiply this whole thing, and I'm gonna get 105, and 105 divided by 15 is actually 7. So the mean is 7. So now let me get the variance and standard deviation. It will be easy for me to get those whole thing as I got the mean. Okay, so now the variance is actually it's the same as the previous one, so it will be 4, or my frequency, as you guys can see, and then multiply by the class mark. In the previous example, we didn't have any class mark, but for this one, we're gonna use a class mark as an x value. So it will be 2 minus the mean in the whole square in the same process. this frequency 8 times by, and then the class mark, which is 7 minus 7 and the whole times by 2, and the same process, just 2 times by 12 minus 7 the whole times by 2 plus 1 times by 17 minus 7 the whole times by 2. So this is all the process, and if you're gonna divide this whole thing by 15, so now when you just do the whole calculation, you're gonna get 250, and 250 divided by 15, it will be 16.67. So this will be the variance. The variance is actually 16.67. And then the standard deviation will be the square root of variance, so the square root of 16.67 is actually 4.008. So this will be your standard deviation. So this is all you have to do when you encounter this specific example. So just make sure you know that to get the mean, just try to multiply this whole thing and then divide by the sum of the frequency. And to get the variance, take the frequency and then take this class mark and subtract 7 and square it. And then do the process again. And then after that, you're going to have to divide this whole thing by the sum of the frequency, which is 15. And then after that, you're going to get the standard deviation and also the variance. So this will be my variance and this will be my standard deviation. And this is all you have to do to get the variance, to get the standard deviation, to get all of those things. So this is it for this video, and thanks for watching, and have a good day.